Happy Wednesday, YouTube. Happy Wednesday, everyone. And the news this week is that it is confirmed. The results are back. Schizophrenic Queen really is the secret love child of Chase Bank.
Alex, I have something to tell you.
Mm.
I am your mother.
No! And if everyone could introduce themselves with a quick Maury. So, Coqui?
Maury. Wait a second. Does that mean both of you are like part bank? Is that like a cyborg or something?
Yes. I am the grandson of a bank, which means actually that would be great because that would mean that I shit money. Hooray, results.
So yes, Maury indeed.
Mm-hmm. And a Maury from Midnyte Goddess?
Oh, you don't know who I is. You don't know who I is, Maury. You don't know who I is.
And Queenie?
Maury.
I'd like to say, as I'm the host of London After Midnight, people should be chanting Alex.
Well, we could do it again if you want, like Alex.
No, next time.
But now we want to do it.
And we just recorded us talking about doing it, so we might as well.
Yeah, Alex.
I don't want to start the call again.
Can you give me 1 second? My son wants something to eat to settle his stomach a little bit. So it's already ready. I just have to give it to him.
Okay.
Now that we've already said call and recording, immersion is completely ruined, so you may as well.
No, I think this kind of thing improves it. I think it makes it funny.
Okay.
It's like people are hearing the outtakes. Also,
well, now you're just demolishing the fourth wall.
Yes. People can't prove that Queenie isn't my mother and that Queenie isn't the daughter of Chase Bank. And if you can't disprove it, that means it's true.
Are we creationists now?
I've been on YouTube long enough to give up the will for anything, and I'm the guy who was asked to provide documentation of me not being sectioned. The concept of evidence or proof or in any way reasoning to value what is or isn't true is just I'm right because your mum. Okay?
God.
What'd you say about my mama, fool?
Perhaps I was wrong to assume that a bank was a machine, though. It's more like a collective. But what would you call, like,
so wait, are we the Borg?
Part human, part concept?
We're Borg? I don't know.
What was the name of that film with the robot house? And at the end, she's pregnant by the robot house, and she gives birth to a robot house baby.
I is back.
Welcome back.
Sorry.
Oh. That's okay. I've lost my place now. Right, the topic is UKIP assholes. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to be very familiar with the United Kingdom Independence Party. I need to think of something really funny that acronym could potentially stand for, though I'm sure that's dumb. And basically, I'm glad that at least they have a free post address, so the campaign is just to waste their money by sending them shit. Well, not literally shit, but you can. I'm even going to put it in the description. Any UK residents listening, if you're not doing this already, you should be. Basically, this week, there's a comedian over here called Lenny Henry that I really like, and I grew up with him. Not literally, you know what I mean. I grew up and he was on the telly, and he's done some movies. Actually, Lenny Henry is in the movie Penelope, where the girl has the pig's nose. So, to any Americans who don't know who Lenny Henry is, he was like the police inspector or whatever. And a BNP candidate tweeted, because Lenny Henry has been talking, he gave a very good talk, which I've seen, it's on YouTube, about diversity, which UKIP interpreted as him saying that he didn't like working with white people, which was not what he was talking about. He was talking about visibility, representation and diversity in the media, opportunities for black talent, or for talent among different ethnic groups. He spent his career working with white people. He married a white woman. His production company hires white people. This is a massive load of bollocks. And this UKIP candidate, bearing in mind UKIP is one of those parties that has to deny being racist, tweeted at him that he should, quote-unquote, go and live in a black country. The irony being that Lenny Henry is from Dudley, which is a region of England that we actually do call the Black Country. But in any case, guess what? This UKIP candidate, whose name I can't remember, he's such a cunt. I think it's something Henwood, was born in South Africa and is therefore an immigrant to the UK. Lenny Henry was born in Dudley, England, is therefore not an immigrant to the UK. Go figure. Does anything about these people make any sense? And because this never, ever stops. Oh, by the way, if telling a black person to go and live in a black country isn't racist, what is? And just today, yesterday, I read that another UKIP candidate has said it is not possible for a woman to be raped by her husband. And without even wishing to be facetious, how the fuck are these cunts in the lead in the polls? Coqui?
That is a very difficult question for me to answer. I suppose either A, there are a considerable amount of voters that are themselves racist and or misogynist, or there are people who do not hold racism or misogyny to be serious enough issues for them to still want to vote for them because of their Euroscepticism policy, I guess. What is their redeeming quality as a party? Not that I'm saying Euroscepticism is good, but why would someone vote for them besides being racist and misogynistic?
Well, this is the thing, because they started out as a single-issue party, just against being in the European Union, which explains how they're getting, one of the reasons why they're getting such a Tory vote, because the Conservatives are losing a lot of votes to UKIP. I hope that's almost all their support, because that divides the right. But you can lose some working-class Labour votes to them as well. Their own deputy chairman, Neil Hamilton, has said that they were getting the decent BNP vote. In other words, those British National Party, or let's be honest, British neo-Nazi party people, who aren't really racist, bigoted thugs, but no, the good ones, the decent ones, feel represented by UKIP, who aren't really racist, apparently. What? Just as you can be a Tory who's too much of a right-wing arsehole, even for the Conservatives. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what happened to this other party, the English Defence League? Is that still a thing?
The EDL isn't a political party. They don't have candidates. They're more of a protest group.
They're more of a bunch of football hooligans who go from town to town, destroying things and pretending that they're protesting.
Ah, I see. You see, yeah. I kind of wanted to, joke about sending them a dick in a box, but then it occurred to me that since this is in the post, the postal system, that's actually dismemberment, which is what I wanted to imply at all. So, yeah, just send them shit, I guess. Yes, that seems like an adequate thing to send them. But heavy stuff, because, you want to make sure it costs them money, too.
Exactly. Why are people only graffitiing the UKIP leaflets and sending them to their free post address? Send them a brick. I'm actually planning on sending... I've sent them something. I'm not going to say what in this podcast, but I intend to send them any number of things. I also think, don't just waste their money, waste their administrative time with actual, like, nonsense mail. I'm also going to annoy them by not sending them their own leaflet, but by sending them leaflets from from every rival. Although so far, I've only had Conservative and Communities... Is it Communities Union? Communities Unity? I think, oh yeah, the Community Union Party, which CUP. Let's just call them CUP.
Just to be clear, because I think there was a miscommunication, when I said send them shit, I didn't mean send them stuff. I meant send them excrement.
Oh, actual excrement. Yeah. Cool. This is the thing. That is what one should definitely do. Although, obviously, if you're going to send somebody something and it could be judged to be a crime, don't say so in a podcast, just in case.
Technically, fecal matter is not illegal to send if it is in a wrapped container before it is put in the letter, because technically it is not... it doesn't contain... Human excrement does not contain some stuff that can, like, really harm you. So if you're putting it, say, in a Ziploc baggie and then putting it in a parcel, then he'd be covered by not... The person wouldn't actually be putting their hand in it. They'd just be getting a bag of shit.
Oh, okay. Well, they'd probably just assume that was the new candidate arriving.
Probably.
I love it.
Do you mind if I talk a little bit about my impression of UKIP as a Canadian?
Okay.
Now, as a Canadian, seeing it from this side, a lot of it has really confused me in the sense of I don't understand how somebody can feel proud of where they fell out of another person. You know what I mean? Because UKIP is it's like they're nationalists, aren't they?
Yeah.
So basically, they're just proud of where they happen to be born. And to me, it just seems like an excuse to take a bunch of scared people who don't like each other, who all don't like same people. So they all hate the Jewish people, they all hate the black people, they all hate gay people, etc. So that's scary. And now, so we've gotten this big group of scared people together, and now they're, who are all proud of where they were born. And I think that's a very dangerous thing to happen, because let's say they get a very charismatic leader one time, and that charismatic leader reinforces, good, honest values for true British people. And maybe they start to have special schools and then build areas for the other people to live. And, because they've got the power to. I mean, does this sound any familiar at all, what this could turn into if gone the wrong way?
At least under UKIP, the trains are run on time.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad joke, Alex.
I know.
But it's got that breeding ground. Like, that's the problem with groups like the EDL, the BNP, UKIP, in Canada, the Parti Québécois, in the United States, anything that's Republican, it has the power to become something incredibly dangerous. And if it's in the hands of the wrong people, a thought is dangerous.
Yes. So, in the hands of the wrong people, a thought is dangerous, and those who do not learn from history are destined to repeat it. Now, Queenie, do you have any insights to share with us, or any impression that you have of the UK Independence Party and the implications of such bigoted people leading in the polls in the kind of political and economic environment that we're living in right now?
Well, it's the same sort of like when Hitler took power, right? Because we know that's what everybody's hinting at. Like these guys are like Hitler 2.0. But it was the same sort of environment. There was economic hardship. People were going through hard times. And when people are going through hard times, it's a hell of a lot easier to get them to bicker with each other than when things are generally good. And it's such bullshit. Because, you know, if you want an example of why an anti-immigration policy is a bad idea, you should take a look at Japan. Pretty much has no immigration. The thing is, it's become a recent trend in Japan that younger couples, or not younger couples, I should say, because the problem is there are becoming less and less younger couples. People aren't wanting to get married, people aren't wanting to have kids, and part of that is to do with sexism and inequality in the workplace. Women aren't wanting to settle down with a man because once they're married, their careers are going to be over. And men aren't wanting to settle down with women because they realize that it's the kind of economic environment in which they would fail in their duties to provide for a family. And it's due to these inequities and their anti-immigration sort of policy. Like, as far as I know, you can go there to work, but if you're not Japanese, you can't immigrate to Japan, like, as a permanent thing. And the thing is, without the younger people of Japan wanting to have more kids and this sort of thing, there's really not going to be anyone around to support the older generations if this trend carries on for too long. So, whereas if they had immigration and they had other people of other cultures and other ethnicities coming to Japan to start families and to, you know, live and work there, that wouldn't be an issue. But because they don't, it actually is a big issue.
Yeah.
Like, in America, you're starting to see that sort of trend come along where, depending on your circumstances or whatever, certain groups or certain people aren't getting married, aren't having kids. But the difference is that America has an immigration policy, so as where it's maybe like, let's say the birth rate of white people is going down or whatever for whatever reason, then there are other people who either were born here or immigrated here who can pick up the slack in the social structure for that decline, for that lacking of. Whereas if you don't have immigration, then if you don't have any sort of backup to pick up the slack. If that makes any sense.
That's actually a really good point. You know, that their immigration policy is a prime example of, like, being too strict. And how it's affecting the economics and everything. And I think that Britain and the UK could take an example from that, especially when it comes to, like, UKIP and things like that.
And when you look at UKIP and how they're sexist, too, that also plays into it, because one of the reasons they're not having as many children and things in places like Japan is due to gender inequality in the workplace.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say that a huge factor and something that a lot of Japanese women have complained about is the lack of children care available, like places to leave their kids, which it's like a negative feedback loop because, you know, there are fewer kids, and so there are going to be fewer centers to take care of kids. but that's going to put off more women from wanting to have children and remain in the workforce at the same time. So you're going to have even fewer kids, and consequently fewer child care centers. It's really quite tragic.
Mm. It's very hard to... by the way, in terms of bigotry, we can also, don't forget, checklist homophobia as well, because, of course, they want to get the anti-same-sex marriage Tory voters who feel betrayed by their party for pushing same-sex marriage through. So, the people too right-wing for the Conservatives. But one of the very bizarre things that came up is a UKIP. I think they've tried to deny this or suppress this, but at one point they were trying to say that the vote should be taken away from the unemployed. Now, apart from how horrific it would be to take the vote away from unemployed people, how stupid, when part of their appeal is meant to be, you don't have a job because foreigners are taking all the jobs. Yes, but bearing in mind, Nigel Farage, that's UKIP's Hitler, by the way, who unfortunately, while he may not have a great deal of charisma, he can come off very humorous and affable. Hires his German wife as his secretary, and then goes off and talks about and of course they have at least one non-British born candidate, but then they talk about the whole what is it from South Park? They took my job.
They took your job.
But you're trying to take away the vote from unemployed British people when it's their interest that you're claiming to serve, and it's their votes that you need. So these people aren't clever. These people aren't even competent. These people don't make one sense from sentence to next sentence. But they're still ahead in the polls. I'm going to guess, though, we still do have a couple of weeks. It seems where I live, they're the only people really campaigning. And I'm thinking that they're going to burn out quite quickly, because I think they've shot their load too soon, is what I'm thinking.
Aw, were they really excited? It's okay, it happens to every type of party at some point. Doesn't make you any less of a bigot. No, it's okay.
The sheer stupidity of this party, but the sheer stupidity of people that they would bite on stuff like this. And Nigel Farage has made a slip up. He did some puffed up chest beating, if I win this by-election, Cameron will have to step down, and then he ended up not standing in the by-election in question. So he kind of looks even more of a fool now. At the same time, though, he has a way of deflecting, of making jokes of things. He appeared on a comedy panel show we have here weekly called Have I Got News For You? And I don't think he was given a hard enough time, and he managed to pull off affable, and that's worrying. Well, when years ago, so it must be 2 or 3 years ago now, the BNP leader Nick Griffin was on Newsnight, he was torn apart.
Oh, he was humiliated. I remember seeing that.
Oh yeah. That was he was in the Colosseum with the lions. He could not have been more ripped apart publicly. That was mega super ponage. And that was like, okay, well, which of course is a good reason why you allow freedom of speech.
Oh yeah.
Give them enough rope to hang themselves. Let them show themselves for what they are. But it's uncomfortable. Nigel Farage didn't get grilled. Nigel Farage wasn't torn apart in the Colosseum. He was, for the most part, allowed, with some ribbing, shall we say, but was allowed to come off as an affable, likeable, regular guy, when you've got to remember, he's Hitler with a big smile. He's Hitler with a sense of humour. And that's the real kind of danger. So I'm going to go around again for closing thoughts. Coqui?
Just don't vote for bigoted parties that, treat minorities badly. Okay? Also, don't hate women.
Indeed. It's such a shame, because when you're raised to be proud to be British, one of it is that we were the nation that stood up and stood our ground and stood up to Hitler. And are we now finally falling to the fascists? Midnight Goddess, closing thoughts?
Just, be nice to each other, and don't vote for people who hate for the sake of hate. We've got too much hate in this world. Let's kind of love each other for a change.
Amen. And Queenie?
All you need is love, 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 and to get rid of that party, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are not nice to my friends, so they shall go away and learn to be nice.
Quite, indeed. And I'll try and end on a positive note myself, actually, and point out that polls have been wrong about this stuff before. Not so long ago, the BNP looks like they were doing well in the polls, but they actually failed spectacularly in the election and admitted they were disappointed and humiliated. The polls can say one thing, an election can go another. Obviously, I know, because I'm obviously voting in local government for London and also voting in Europe, and while I may not be entirely decided, this particular British citizen obviously won't be voting for UKIP. And to anyone listening, I'm fairly sure your mind should be made up, if it wasn't already. Don't, as I say, as has been said, don't vote for racists, don't vote for people who don't count marital rape as rape, don't vote for people who don't believe in equality for same-sex marriage, and don't vote for complete twats generally. So, on that note, it is good night from Coqui.
Have a good night.
And good night for Midnight Goddess.
Good night, and remember that somebody out there loves you.
And good night from Queenie.
Night, everybody. Remember, they took her germs.
I can't get the idea of a complete twat out of my mind, though. What if someone elected a vagina? That would be awesome. I want a vagina to be the mayor or president or prime minister now. But yes, sorry. Goodbye again. Hamster prosperity upon your head.
You've blown my mind. I'm getting vagina. Because when someone mentions the vagina monologues, and you actually imagine a talking vagina.
I did the first time I heard it.
I'm now imagining a vagina on stage giving a political speech. But there's probably endless jokes there. But I do know that, I don't know who will get this, but fallen to the communists can be a euphemism for being on your period.
Ah, yes. I do get that. But perhaps this is a good time to say good night.
Yes, and it's good night from me.